On. We're live.
All right.
Okay. Take this off. We're live, but we're not live on radio yet. But we're live on Facebook.
All right.
I'm going to just go add some people. And if you want to move up a little bit just so you could be in camera, there we go. All right, everybody. Let me start inviting people. Invite. Just getting all the people ready.
All right.
Because they're going to be looking in. Bam, bam.
Yeah, I told OG a little while ago I need to get myself on. I got to try to get myself accustomed to being on Facebook. I don't do social media. I mean, I have yet to get into this social media realm. You know, I don't know, but at some point maybe I will actually get myself on there if this becomes something that, you know, do it on a more full-time or more, you know, regular basis.
Sure. Yep. All right, we're live, y'all. Okay, I'm ready whenever you are.
All right.
Okay. Welcome,
What mics are you on? What mic are you on? White tape on the back.
I'm on number 2.
I'm on 3.
I got 1.
Okay, I'm on 2 and 3. Okay, let me start. Okay, and go.
Welcome, everybody. This is OG with Building Greatness. Today, I have a special guest and I have a special co-host. Okay, my special guest is Kevin K. He is an architectural designer and a Wing Chun practitioner. I call him a Wing Chun master, but he does not want me to call him that because he's humble. But he's a master of what he does. And we have brother Lamont here. Everybody knows Lamont. He is a great man. And I told him, look, if I could have him as a co-host, that'd be a blessing. So today we're just going to be on. Kevin, you can look at the camera just to give everybody a wave. Hello.
How's it going?
All right. Good enough. Okay, so we're going to start off today with basically a couple of notes that I wanted to tell everybody that Building Greatness, what it is about highlighting the special people and the special events and the things that they do to make this world a better place. Also highlighting people who are normally not highlighted, things that they do. And as far as like an architectural engineer, architectural designer, and somebody who practices Wing Chun, you know, it's rare that we get that up here. Mm-hmm. So we're going to make the best of it. Hopefully he'll come back. So I would like you to introduce yourself today, Kevin.
Yeah, well, my name is Kevin K. I'm really glad to be here. It's an honor. You know, OG's a good friend, and I'm glad to be here. Really honored. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Everybody, good evening. Once again, I mean, this is Lamont, a.k.a. Lamont. I mean, it's real happy to be here. I appreciate OG inviting me to sit down with everybody, and hopefully we'll have a good conversation for everybody tonight.
Sounds great. Hold on a second. I'm going to adjust this camera real quick. Y'all go ahead and finish talking.
All right.
I know, this is crazy.
All right, well, Kevin, since we're about to get started, you say you practice Wing Chun.
Yes.
Now, how did you get started with your martial arts?
Well, actually, when I was a child, I took Taekwondo for a little bit.
Okay.
And I liked that. And then when I was in college, I tried Shotokan karate, strongman karate. Enjoyed that. But I was still looking for something that would really work with me. And it took a while, and I did a bunch of research, and then I stumbled upon this thing called Wing Chun. I didn't know what it was. But when I started reading a little bit about it, and this whole notion of sticky hands, I was like, that was very interesting to me. What does that mean? And so that's when I started. Actually, this is my 18th year practicing the system. And I really, really enjoy it. It works well for me, and I just like the way the system works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've seen you in action, so I know how effective it is and how also relaxing it is to be able to move with grace, but with subtle power. And, you know, so it's a meditation form as well as an art in self-defense and building character as well.
Now, Wing Chun and if I'm not mistaken, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, was that the same style of martial arts that Bruce Lee was accustomed to, that he learned?
Well, yes, actually, Bruce Lee learned under Ip Man.
Right, I was going to
there's a lot of movies about Ip Man,
yes,
a lot of different movies, Donnie Yen and other people who portrayed Ip Man. And so Bruce Lee was a student of Ip Man.
Okay.
Then Bruce Lee continued on, and then he created Jeet Kune Do, which incorporates other systems plus things of Wing Chun. But there's lots of, when you look at Bruce Lee's movements, there's a lot of the Wing Chun that's right there. that movement where he does, it's called Pakda,
Okay.
where he does a slap and then a punch.
Right,
That one,
okay.
the slap and the punch, that's Pakda, that's Wing Chun.
Right.
Yeah, and
Got
so,
it.
and like I say, and I didn't even know until I stumbled into the system, because 18 years ago, it wasn't as popular as it is now.
Okay.
And again, the thing I liked about it is that Wing Chun is both an internal and an external system. So meaning the external is about power.
Right.
You know, power, very strong power. But internal is about internal energy, about chi,
Okay.
about being able to be relaxed. And so Wing Chun is very counterintuitive. You know, because we say, you know, in order to be effective in Wing Chun, you have to relax.
Right.
That seems and that's extremely difficult
Right.
when you're trying to execute techniques and you need to be relaxed. And it's through that relaxation that you can actually feel the movement of your opponent, and then you can take the advantage.
Okay.
And it's
Right.
very it's counterintuitive. You know, and that's one of the things I like about it.
All right.
Yeah. Before we get to that, I just want to go over, you know, we want to go over your
Sure.
architectural design before, because the Wing Chun,
Sure.
we're going to get heavily into that. And so I want to
Oh, I love that.
I
Yeah,
want to
sure,
get into the martial
sure.
arts very deeply. Before that,
Sure.
I want to ask a couple of questions about your architectural designing background. And,
Sure.
you know, if there are young people out here interested in going to that field, what would you suggest and what do you say about it? And how long have you been doing it?
Well, I graduated from college in 1998, and I started working professionally in 1999.
Okay.
And I worked both in Ohio and I've worked in New Jersey as well. And I like it. I mean, it's a profession where you have to use a lot of creativity, but there's a lot of technical aspects as well. You know, and for anybody who's interested, I would say go for it. You know, reach for the stars, go for it. Whether you want to be an architect, you want to get into engineering, it's great. And, you know, a lot of times people say, I'm not good at math. That doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, especially with architecture, it's about being able to think creatively and
Right,
being able
right.
to be organized.
Okay.
And if you practice your creativity and you work organized and you work hard, a lot of times the math skills will come along to support you. But it's a profession that has a lot of different opportunities, ins and outs, as you work with the different designs and things like that. So I would encourage young people to go for it, reach for the stars. You know, go and if that's something that you really like to do, if you like to build things,
Right.
you like to create things, then I would definitely encourage people to do engineering, architecture. It's something I would encourage.
Now, I was going to ask you something about that as well. Growing up, did you find yourself wanting to build things? Did you find yourself a very hands-on individual? Was this how you got yourself into wanting to become an architect or an architectural designer?
Well, actually, I always loved to build.
Okay.
From the time I was little, I had erector sets.
Right.
And I was always building and reconfiguring. And
Right.
actually, when I was little, I thought I wanted to be a truck driver because I love trucks.
Truck
All right.
But I would use the erector set to make all these elaborate rigs for the back of the truck, you know, these trailers, and I would have these things to carry my cars around and things like that.
Right.
So I've always loved to build, and I like to build furniture, and I just like to work with my hands. And so that's one of the. Initially, I thought I wanted to be a writer because I love to write.
Okay.
But then I realized that there's a lot of similarities between writing and designing buildings. It's about conveying ideas. You know, it's about using your creative talents to build something.
Right.
You know, and so whether you want to be a writer or you want to be a designer, they're all really connected. But I really liked building from the time I was little. And I went to school initially to be a writer. And then I said, I think maybe I want to try something different. And that's when I went into the architectural, started studying architecture. And went through that whole process, and I've been working in the field, and I find it very rewarding. I really
Okay.
enjoy it. You know.
Nice.
And also, are there any schools you would suggest that are great schools for young people to start? Like, say there's somebody in high school that's leaning towards architectural design or in that field. Are there any schools that you would suggest in the Northeast that they might,
Sure. Well, I went to New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Okay. My brother went there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great institution. I really enjoyed it. Architecture, I know for architecture, you get a 5-year professional degree, or you can get a 4-year degree and then a 2 to 3 years master degree.
Right.
So if you are pursuing it, I would encourage people to make sure that they're looking for the 5-year professional degree programs. Because if you want to go on and get licensed, you need that accreditation. Sometimes if you do a 4-year program, you'll be required to do a master's degree before you can get licensed. But and you have to just look around. I know NJIT was a good institution. There's lots of different institutions that offer architectural design, but you just have to be a little bit selective and look around to make sure you get the 5-year program as opposed to the 4-year program, unless you want to go on and get a master's.
Okay.
And I would encourage kids, go on and get a master's if you
Right.
can. Whatever you can do. Education is a key right now, especially with the economy and what's been happening. You know, sky's the limit, and I would just say reach high.
Okay.
Yeah, because I see, and I was looking also, I was doing some research on on that field, and I noticed that in Dubai, their top dollar is being paid for architectural designers, engineers, people of that nature, in that class, in that field. I mean, they're basically taking people from around the world.
Sure.
So that's one of the places I investigated that had, it's a high demand for that. I guess they're very much into building and construction and creating great things. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Oh, all right. And getting into Dubai, I mean, I was looking at the news, just reading the newspaper the other day, and noticed that Dubai, they're trying to, I guess, create a new type of building that actually moves and swerves. You know, I mean, it is. I mean, it's very interesting when I actually was looking online the other day about just some of the architectural designs and just what they're trying to do in Dubai. Now, you being an architectural designer, what did you find, or did you find anything that was very difficult about getting into the field? I mean, what was the most difficult from your perspective about getting into this field?
Well, it's a long process.
Right.
The schooling is a 5-year. Typically, if you get a 5-year degree, it's 5 years.
Right.
And that's 5 years, and it's a lot of credit hours. And then once you get that, then you have to work for several years before you can go and sit for the licensing exam. So it's a process. A lot of times you have to go through an internship process.
Right.
3 years before you can start taking the exam. The exam is difficult and grueling. So it's a long process, and the thing about it is, once you get out of school, you really need the work experience to help you really understand how to function in an office, how to really help realize those ideas that you have into design. So it's really a long journey.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not just like you get out of school and all of a sudden you're just designing things. It is a process.
Right.
But and I suppose that's probably the most difficult thing, to have the patience to keep on going through the different steps and phases to move on within the profession.
Okay.
Right, that's great.
Do you find a lot of people in the field have difficulty with maintaining, I guess, their creativity, just constantly trying to find new ways to build things? I mean, is it a very difficult process, or?
A lot of times, really, there's a lot of categorization that takes place. So once you understand how to put certain components together, you start to build a library set.
Okay.
So as you build new projects, you're always reaching from that library. And I've been amazed as I see different people that I've worked with, and some of them have incredible design skills.
Right.
I mean, the creativity that they have and being able to draw from these other components that they used and utilize those things. And so, and really, there's just so much variety. And of course, it's not just about your own ideas. There's building codes that you have to adhere to,
right.
And then of course there's the client's needs and what they're looking for and building program. And then of course there's the cost.
Right.
Because buildings cost a lot of money.
Right.
And so there's a lot of revisions and changing. And a lot of times it's not how fast you can design it, but it's how fast you can design it and then redesign it based on the criteria and the changes that happen in the field. So there's a lot of redesigning, and projects take a long time. Right. Sometimes you'll start a project and then you'll wait for a couple of years, and then it'll get its first set of approvals, and then it'll wait for some more years. And so sometimes it takes a long time. So it's not something that happens quickly, but it is rewarding when you've designed a space, you've worked on the space, you've done the drawings, you've worked with a team of individuals and engineers, and then you actually show up in the space when it's built.
Okay.
And you walk through that space, and it was a figment of your imagination.
Very nice.
And you're inside that space. That's a fun feeling.
Yeah,
it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, that is very interesting, because, like I said, it's just the ability to use your creativity is a must. Especially when we're going to advance our civilization and our society, is being able to think outside the box and be very creative. And this is a great show for it, building greatness. So you have to have an engineering, you have to have a design mind to actually, an architect, to really find these great people and the great things, put them all together and make a better place for us in this world. So moving on from that, because like I said, that's a great thing. And I also want to follow up on the martial arts as well. I want to get into that. But I had a couple of other questions about, if you saw today there was something that was a need in society, in our social society, that would make this society a greater place right now, as far as for young people, what would you say?
Well, I think one of the things that I think is really important is this idea that we're not self-made.
Right.
And in the last couple of years, there's been a real movement, a lot of this idea of like the self-made individual, but I don't think that that's a real thing. I can only speak from my own experience.
Right.
I stand on the shoulder of an enormous amount of people who were generous to me, who gave to me, who inspired me, who motivated me, who saw my potential when I didn't realize I had potential, and said, hey, you can do something great. And so this notion of working together, that it's really a community, that it's a
Right,
community, and that together we come together. And I think that young people need to see that it's a community, that their dreams are valuable, and they can't just make it on their own,
Right.
and they can't just, it's about working together as a community. And as a result of the downturn with the economy and everything, I think a lot of people have seen how what you thought was locked in,
Right.
it's not necessarily locked in. I can only speak for my own self, but there's things I never thought I'd experience since 2008.
Right.
The dynamics change, the way everything changes, and so the ability to be able to continue to follow your dreams, but understand that it's about working together, it's about encouraging one another. I think that would be very valuable in this. That we're not islands. We don't
Right.
just climb to the top by ourselves. And if we make it to the top, the only reason we got there is because a lot of people gave us a lot of encouragement and help and all sorts of things along the way.
Right, and I think that's the mentality it seems to be with a lot of young people nowadays. They feel as if they may not have that support in order to chase their dreams. You know what I mean? Whether they're living in a single-family household or, they just don't have the support and the backing to go further in life. So it's really nice to hear, to let everybody out there know that, there's always support out there for you. You don't have to do everything alone. If you have a dream, you can achieve whatever dream you have, and just always know that you have the support, and you can get the support that you want if you look for it.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do you say about something in society that you feel that that could be improved today, or something that we should focus on to advance our civilization or our society? I always say civilization because it starts as a village, a community, on to our society and our civilization. So
I think it's getting back onto what Kevin was saying a moment ago, just about the whole togetherness thing. You know what I mean? Not only do people feel as if they don't have somebody, but a lot of times people are not willing to share the knowledge that they have. They're not willing to give that advice to people who are looking towards someone in order to get a little bit further. And I think if a lot of people out there actually took the time out to put their time in and their effort into someone else, I think collectively as a society, we can all prosper and grow from that, But once again, it takes us to understand that, not only are we not alone, but we cannot do things alone.
Exactly.
If you have experience, if you have knowledge, feel free to teach someone. Give them the knowledge that you have so that they could possibly pass it on, and they can pass it on to somebody else. And once again, it can be a cyclical thing. That same knowledge, and once again, everybody can grow from that. So, I think if everybody just understands that, we as a society can definitely grow and get a lot further than we are right about now.
Yeah, I
think I agree with that.
Yeah, me too, because reciprocal is the whole point. You know what I mean? There's nothing on this planet or in reality that has not been recycled.
Right, exactly.
And part of us giving that legacy of teaching somebody our knowledge is to pass on, because we can't bring it with us.
Exactly.
We can't go anywhere with it.
Right. Exactly.
But while we're here, if we have that village mind, that village setting, where we're sharing that knowledge and passing it on to people, we're doing what nature wants us to do.
Exactly.
So it's to keep it going, keep the flow flowing.
Exactly.
So.
It's sort of like what you were talking. Not to get off the topic, but sort of like with the Wing Chun. Had Ip Man and things like that, and people who knew from the beginning what it was had not shared that knowledge with other people. Unfortunately, that type of martial arts could have died out. But because people were willing to share that knowledge with others, and then once again, that person who knew it was willing to share it with somebody else, it's still around today. Absolutely. And you yourself can continue to show someone else what it is.
Recipient of it. Yeah,
exactly. Because people were willing to teach that and let it continue to live.
Exactly. And from what I understand, Yip Man was very available to teach the system to non-Chinese people, which is a huge blessing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? To be able to open up that whole set of technology, that whole set of way of thinking to people from a different culture, I think was so generous. Not that other people didn't do that. I'm sure other people did as well. But just historically, from what I understand, he was one of the people that was very available to be willing to spread that out. And I know I'm a beneficiary of that, and I'm grateful. Extremely grateful.
Right, exactly. So, again, like I said, these are things that we want to encourage young people to get involved with. Martial arts in itself is a very good character building activity. But when Chun teaches you a greater depth, a more of a cerebral type strength when it comes to, centering yourself and grounding out. So, go ahead, continue more about it. I want to hear more about, or unless...
No, like I said, I'll let you talk. Like I said, I'm very interested in understanding, about your martial arts and the style of Wing Chun. Like I said, because for the simple fact, having watched the movies of Ip Man, I mean, I truly love Donnie
Right.
in these movies. But
Yes.
you know what I mean? But just understanding where it came from and where it can continue to go. I mean, I'd like to hear a little bit more
I like
about,
that, yeah.
you know, how you got into it. I mean,
Sure.
how it has helped you and how it can continue to evolve, I would say.
Sure. Well, actually, my instructor, his name is Pt.1 Kevin K.
Okay.
And he's from Dayton, Ohio, and I just am so grateful that he was willing to teach me and the way he taught me the system. And I also have another mentor. His name is Toby Washington. I'm also from Dayton, and he was also a friend and a mentor, and they just helped me with the system. And again, like I said, I was looking for martial arts for
Right.
a long time. Taekwondo never worked for me. But the one thing I'll say about martial arts is that really it's a big community, you know, and there's so many things that are so similar with martial arts practitioners. You know, it's like a different form, it's a different expression, a different manifestation, but so many things are so similar. So I think that there's more similarities in the world of martial arts than there are differences, you know. And I enjoy watching all sorts of different styles and seeing their expression of a certain technique. And I can say, I see how you responded to that situation, you know. So I really like that. But like I said, I was looking for something that would work well for me. And I just came upon this thing of Wing Chun, and I like the simplicity of the system. The system outwardly seems extremely simple.
Okay.
You know, we have three hand forms. You know, there's one wooden dummy form, and then there's two weapon forms, and that's the system.
Right.
And so at first glance it looks very simple, but as you begin to practice the system, what happens is that the system begins to you begin to understand how it works.
Right.
And so I like the fact that it's really, I believe it's a system that's very accessible.
Okay.
You know, you can start practicing the system very early, but it takes a long time to just let your body relax into the system. And relaxation is, I think, one of the most difficult things, you know, to have to teach yourself how to relax.
Right.
So when you engage a situation, you're relaxed.
Okay.
And you're calm.
Right.
As opposed to having to respond with a lot of power and force.
Right.
And it seems counterintuitive. If somebody's going to strike me, why am I going to block them with the technique that's soft? That
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Right.
And yet it works.
Right, it's effective.
It
Right.
works because, you know, when you block with the technique, you find where they are. There's a saying in Wing Chun. It says, meet what comes, follow what goes. And when the hand is free, go forward. So when a strike comes, you meet it.
Right.
When they try to move the strike, you stay connected to them.
Right.
Right.
Because if you're connected to them, they can't strike you.
Right.
You know, you're glued to them. So when they have to retract themselves to strike you, then you go forward.
Right.
So that's one of the beautiful things about how the system works. And it's just and I know that my instructor has a saying, and I'm sure it was passed down to him, you know, about a student that came to a master and said, you know, I want to learn this system. How long is it going to take? And he says, well, if you practice and you just work with the system, you know, it'll take you 10 years. And he said, okay, what happens if I practice really hard and I get up early and I stay up late and I just work and work? And then the master thinks for a moment and he said, it'll take you 20 years.
Right.
So this notion that you have to just let time take its course.
Right.
And with Wing Chun, it's not something that or any martial art, you can't just rush through it. You just have to take time to let the system you just have to meditate on it. You have to think about it. And as you do that, it makes more and more sense. I know I'm talking in a lot of ethereal terms, but because a lot of times people come to martial arts for different reasons.
Right.
You know, a lot of times people want self-defense. You know, and again, when I started, hey, I like the idea of self-defense. I like the idea that I feel like I can defend myself.
Right.
But as I started to follow and work in the system, I realized that self-defense was a byproduct.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
I don't continue in Wing Chun because I want to have self-defense.
Right.
I get self-defense because I continue in Wing Chun.
Exactly.
But the reason
I like
why
that.
I do Wing Chun and why I do Kung Fu, martial arts, is because it changes me, you know, as an individual.
Yeah, we're just coming we're about to have a break, a 9:30, 6:30 break, and so we're going to get back to this conversation. But I want to say here at Genesis Radio, we are doing Building Greatness. Please tune in. If you want to call in 888-304-4401. If you have any questions for Kevin or Lamont or myself, or you want to enter the conversation, please don't forget to call. We are here after the break. We're going to be coming right back to this conversation, so hold your horses. We're coming right back.
So how do you like it with the headphones?
Oh
on?
yeah,
You find-
it seems to be okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is all new to me, so I'm just trying to,